The tennis world was still buzzing from the shockwaves of Wimbledon. A 21-year-old from the Philippines had conquered center court, dethroned the defending champion, and climbed to world number 28. She had become the first Filipino to reach the fourth round of a Grand Slam in the Open era. She had inspired a nation of 110 million people. And now, she was in Washington, having just avenged her 2023 Asian Games defeat by dispatching Olympic champion Zheng Qinwen in a grueling three-set battle. The Filipino fans had packed the stands, waving flags and chanting her name. The momentum was undeniable. The belief was unshakable. But the defending champion awaited. Leylah Fernandez, the Canadian star who had won the DC Open last year, who had beaten Eala in Stuttgart just months earlier, who had become the biggest obstacle standing between the Filipina and the quarterfinals. The match began exactly as Fernandez had planned. She dismantled Eala in the first set, 6-2, and then she took control in the second, racing to a 5-1 lead. The crowd fell silent. The dream seemed to be slipping away. And then, Alex Eala did something that no one expected. She didn't just fight back. She rewrote history. She stormed back to win the second set in a tiebreak and sealed the match 6-2, 7-61. The defending champion was dethroned. The crowd erupted, and the Philippines went absolutely wild. This is the story of how a 21-year-old from Quezon City shocked the tennis world and made history. Welcome to RallyVerse. Eala entered the match with unfinished business. The two had met once before at the Stuttgart Open in April, where Fernandez had cruised to a 6-1, 6-4 victory. Eala had been outplayed, overwhelmed, and outclassed. But that was then. This was now. Eala had grown since Stuttgart. She had beaten Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon. She had climbed to world number 28. She had defeated Olympic gold medalist Zheng Qinwen in her opening match. She was a different player, more confident, more composed, more dangerous. I think it's going to be a very tough match for me, Eala had said before the match. Leylah's such an amazing player and an amazing person as well. The respect was mutual. Fernandez, who also has Filipino heritage, knew she was facing a player on the rise. But she was the defending champion. She had won this tournament last year. She was ranked number 34 in the world. She had every reason to believe she would win. The match began with Eala in control. She broke Fernandez early, raised to a 2-0 lead, and took the first set 6-2. The defending champion was playing like a champion. The Filipino fans in the stands were nervous, but Eala remained calm. She had been here before, against Swiatek, against Zheng. She knew how to weather the storm. The second set was supposed to be a formality. Fernandez took control early, breaking Eala and racing to a 5-1 lead. The defending champion was 2 games away from victory. The dream seemed to be slipping away. But then, something happened. Something that would change the course of the match. Eala didn't fold. She didn't panic. She fought back with a determination that left the crowd speechless. She broke Fernandez's serve. She held her own serve. She broke again. And suddenly, the 5-1 deficit had become a 5-4 lead for Eala. The momentum had shifted. The crowd had come alive. And Fernandez was rattled. Everything's kind of a blur right now, Eala said after the match. I really made an effort to stay in the moment, and I was ready for anything that could have happened. Fernandez finally held serve to force a tiebreak, but Eala was unstoppable. She stormed into a 3-0 lead, then 6-1, and sealed the match with a stunning cross-court forehand. The scoreline read 6-2, 7-61. The defending champion was dethroned. The Filipino sensation had done it. The statistics told the story of a match that had everything. Eala converted 4 of 9 break points and won 63.3% of the points on Fernandez's second serve. The match lasted 1 hour and 53 minutes, but the numbers don't capture the emotional roller coaster. The 5-1 deficit in the second set, the comeback, the tiebreak dominance, the stunning cross-court forehand that gave Eala 5 match points. It was a performance that showcased everything that makes Eala special. Her resilience, her composure, and her unwavering belief in herself. I think it's definitely a mindset that you have Eala had said after a first-round victory. That being said, I think it's been trained or I've practiced. I've had more experience now to implement that mindset at the higher level. The experience was paying off. The training was showing. And the tennis world was taking notice. The moment Eala won the final point, the crowd erupted. Filipino fans from across the East Coast had packed the stands, waving Philippine flags and chanting her name. They had come from Maryland, from Virginia, from all across the region. They had waited for hours. They had believed in their hero. And she had delivered. I'm really happy with my win today, Eala had said after a first-round victory. But this victory was even sweeter. This was the defending champion. This was a player who had beaten her before. This was a statement. Fans took to social media to celebrate. The clip of Eala's victory went viral. News outlets across the Philippines ran headlines declaring her a hero. The celebrations were immediate and overwhelming. Tournament chairman Mark Ein had already revealed just how big Eala's impact has been. Over the last month, the ticketing team says at least 80, if not more, of the requests in this tournament are about when is Alex Eala playing. Honestly, I think it's more, and they just didn't want to say it was more, but they're like virtually all. It's not an exaggeration. The fans had come to see their hero, and she had given them a performance they would never forget. Eala's victory over Fernandez was more than just a win. It was a milestone. She had now reached her 5th quarterfinal of a superb season. She had knocked off the defending champion. She had proven that her Wimbledon run was not a fluke. She was a legitimate contender on any surface. It continues a breakout season for Eala, who last month made global headlines beating Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon to become the first Philippines player to reach the last 16 of a Grand Slam, and has soared to 28th in the world rankings. Her next opponent would be either Elina Svitolina, the world number 10 and 2nd seed, or qualifier Polina Kudermetova. The challenge would only get tougher. But Eala had proven she was ready for anything. It wasn't a lot of luck, but luckily it went my way, Eala said. From the cracked courts of Quezon City to the biggest stages in the world. From a 13-year-old girl alone in Spain to a national hero celebrated by presidents and adored by millions. From being told she couldn't do it to standing on the brink of history. Alex Eala had defied every expectation, and the fans had gone absolutely wild. Laban lang. Always. And remember, on RallyVerse, we bring you the stories that define the sport. The drama, the comebacks, the moments that change everything. Stay tuned for more.